Hey everybody. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit more about just why overconsumption is just running rampant in our society and kind of my experience with just overconsuming. I think overconsumption can stem from a lot of different avenues, whether it be social media, maybe TV shows, Netflix, even food can be labeled as, in that overconsumption category, of course. And so I want to talk a little bit more about my experience and kind of what I'm doing in my life to help avoid any sort of overconsumption. And what I really want to talk about today is my overconsumption of just social media and I guess media in general, what you could say. So just kind of go back, not even really that long ago, but I feel like ever since smartphones have been a thing, they kind of have a grasp on us at all times of the day, whether that be, sending text messages, maybe FaceTime, just being on apps, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it may be. They all try so hard to gain our attention. Whatever app you're on, all of these companies try so hard to keep you on that app for longer than you should. And that's why there's these algorithms that are written to always be recommending something to you that will keep you on the app. And while, I guess it kind of makes sense from the company's perspective, I think it's really damaging for the everyday consumer and people who just are on these apps. Because I think in theory, Facebook, let's start with Facebook, for example, like the first social media kind of, at least that got popular. Facebook's, not a bad thing by any means. Social media in and of itself is really not a bad thing. I think it's kind of turned into something that I think a lot of people could agree that it could be bad. There's a lot of brain rot out there, just stuff that just isn't productive to your everyday. And so over consuming these sites and kind of trying to get into my story a little bit, but I think overconsumption just really takes away from our creative abilities, and we're just sitting on our phones, just scrolling, just watching this dance, watching this person cook something, watching this. And some of it's not bad at all. I mean, there's some really good stuff on social media. And of course, there's also some things that, we probably shouldn't be seeing on a daily basis as well. But a little bit about my story is, ever since, really I got a smartphone, social media has been something that I've been kind of hooked on. I wouldn't say maybe as bad as others because I don't post on social media. It's just kind of an outlet to decompress, really. When I don't want to have to focus on something super serious, I'll just pull my phone out and start scrolling. But I do remember all the way back in the early days of Facebook, me just getting on my iPod and just, continually just looking through Facebook. And back then it wasn't as much scrolling through Reels or whatever Facebook calls their YouTube Shorts, Reels, TikToks, whatever they call their version of that. It was more of just kind of wanting to be updated, like FOMO, fear of missing out on what was happening around me. And I think that's also a lot of social media. And I think why a lot of people struggle to get rid of social media is, and I'm kind of in the same boat, is you don't want to miss out on certain things. And while I do have my close friends, we don't even really post on social media anyway. If a close friend wants to get in touch with me, they just send me a text. It's kind of those people that you kind of want to just keep tabs on and see how their life is going without being creepy, because you follow them on social media, you see kind of what they're posting, what they're doing with their life. And it's interesting, it is very interesting. But I found myself personally just scrolling a lot. The app I scroll the most on is Instagram. The Explore tab on Instagram, if you know, there's always just something new to click on, and you click on a reel. Is it a reel? Yeah, it is a reel, Instagram Reels. And then you start scrolling on there. So whether you're scrolling on the Explore tab, you eventually end up clicking on a reel, and then you start scrolling. And it's kind of hard to stop. I mean, the whole scrolling thing and kind of how it's hurt, our ability to focus is that we go from one thing to the next. You watch, like I said, you watch somebody cook, you watch somebody do a dance, you watch somebody do a day in their life, and every reel is something new. And I think that's why it's so easy to get addicted to the scrolling aspect, because every time you scroll, there's something new for you to kind of focus on. And I found myself just scrolling way too much each and every day. Just hours of scrolling. I'd be at work scrolling. I just like a boring moment at work, and just just maybe hours. And so after my doom scrolling session, I'd find that my mind felt very clouded, very foggy, like a lot of brain fog. And I assume it has something. I'm sure there's scientific proof. I haven't delved super deep into a lot of data, but there's some proof that your mind can't focus on so many things. Like, it does want to focus on each individual reel, but then within the next 5 seconds you scroll to something new and it's trying to take in all that information. You do that for an hour and you've gone through probably hundreds of reels, maybe. And it just can't. I would always look back and think, like, what reels do I even remember from my doom scrolling session? And I couldn't even remember one, hardly. Just maybe the one that stuck out the most. And that reel wasn't really helping me in any way. It was just what I guess I would consider brain rot. A lot of my content that I was scrolling through, while I wouldn't consider it pure brain rot, it wasn't helping my everyday life at all. And so recently, I've really gotten into wanting to make a change, wanting to better myself. And I saw this video on YouTube not that long ago. The title was something along the lines of "Stop Consuming, Start Creating." It talked a lot about just our overconsumption, how it destroys our ability to create and be creative. And I felt that kind of deep. I was like, man, I'm really just consuming other people's media, and it's not really improving my life at all. And I wanted to end that. And so I put, what is it called? Time limits on my apps. And Instagram, I think I give myself like 30 minutes a day on Instagram to scroll. And sometimes I do need that, a little bit of decompression, just scrolling can be helpful. But I've really limited my social media, and I can't tell you how much better I felt, how much more productive I felt, especially since I don't have those doom scrolling sessions in the middle of my day. And so, if anybody's listening, I would just really encourage you to just take a look at how much you're consuming, how much you're scrolling each day, and maybe make a change. Maybe when you're on social media, use it to search up topics or things you want to improve upon in your life. If it's about cooking, looking up recipes. I've been looking up recipes for Blackstone. Going to do some more grilling this year, and I think those are really productive because they have some sort of, I guess, end goal. You come up with a recipe, you try it, and there's a good result. And so that's been my goal. I'm just trying to consume less and start creating, and that's why I created this YouTube channel as kind of a creative outlet in hopes that I can help inspire other people who may be going through this weird phase in our culture where our cell phones, but also just media and our dopamine have really controlled our lives. And so hopefully we can kind of eliminate that and get a little bit better, trying to control and be more disciplined over ourselves and over our lives, and hopefully just over our phones in general, because smartphones, I will say, are very cool, very good. A lot of good things come from smartphones, but with anything good, there's usually a little bit of bad. And so having that self-discipline and trying to weed out the bad, bring more of the good in, is something that I'm trying to do more of in my everyday life. So if you take anything away from this video, I would highly encourage to set limits on your social media, not just sit there and just doom scroll all day. But if you are on social media, try to improve yourself, try to search for certain topics and ways you're trying to improve your life. And just real quick to close this video, I might close all my videos like this. The title of my channel is finding clarity in chaos. And I feel like our world is very chaotic nowadays. And ultimately, the whole goal is to find some clarity in our everyday chaos. So thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you later.